Kia ora koutou, Marky here. Welcome to this low-tech video. I'm filming my computer screen, so apologies for the jazzy effect that can sometimes give. And I'm going to use the sound from my computer screen as well, because I want to play you an extract from this interview between Trump and Musk. And I should be able to do that and probably cut a clip and edit it and all that kind of thing, but I haven't the faintest idea how to do that, so we're going to do it the low-tech way, and it may or may not work, or it should work, but how good the quality will be, we don't know. It's going to be bad. This is the case of how bad the quality is going to be. So this is a channel that's full of content and no style. Okay, so if you're new to the channel, that's how we rock. So I watched, or started to watch, this famous interview between Elon Musk and Trump, which seems to be for the purposes of Elon wants certain things from Trump, wants him to become president so that he can get them, and that's touched on later in the video. But what I want to talk about comes at the very start. It comes 1 minute 53 seconds in, to be precise. So I just watched this out of interest. Lots of people were talking about it. But one of the things that some of you may know I'm interested in is deception detection, and particularly statement analysis. So statement analysis is a technique that involves, it doesn't actually involve reading between the lines. That's what it might seem like. Counterintuitively, it involves just reading very carefully and believing what people say. The bulk of, statement analysis, I could do a whole video on statement analysis and what it is and what it isn't. But one of the big tenets of statement analysis is you believe what people are saying. Actually, it's very hard to be deceptive, and people will usually give themselves away. And you can pick that up from the language if you listen very carefully, or read very carefully if you've got a transcript. And often that's kind of quite a subtle process. So I could have thrown all my statement analysis training out of the window when I heard this statement during the interview. And I'm going to play it to you, and then I'm going to read out what I heard. I have got other people to listen to this, just to make sure it's not just me mishearing. So first of all, credit to the video I'm using comes from the Economic Times, and I'll post a link to it below. So thank you to them for sharing this. I hope the copyright police aren't going to come after me. I'm not going to make a political comment. I think people, I did actually hint a little bit at my politics in a video that came out earlier, or might still be out to come. But I'm not going to get into the politics. I'm not going to make a political statement. I'm just going to let you've kind of picked up on my cynicism of the purpose for this interview already, and I will let the statement speak for itself. I need to give you the context though. So at the start of the interview, in his introduction by Elon Musk, it's interesting. He's lacking in fluency. His speech is very broken. And I don't know, that's what I'm like, all broken up and full of ums and ahs. But this is, I think, more so than when I've heard him speak before. Normally he's got more fluency. So I don't know if he feels intimidated by Trump, or awkward around Trump, or what's going on there. But that's something I noticed. But I'm not going to dwell on that. So he opens by saying that the broadcast, to use a nice old-fashioned word, was hindered by a cyber attack, and he kind of laughs as he says that, which is also interesting. I don't know what I make of that, whether that means he just thinks, oh well, you can try and interrupt things with your silly cyber attack, but my people are clever enough to sort that out, no problem, or whether he's lying and there was no cyber attack. So he's implying that there was a cyber attack to try and stop this from going out, from people that wanted to shut it down. So Trump responds to that quite soon into the interview, but he says something very interesting and very blatant, and maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was an error. Maybe he's just speaking the truth, as sometimes people do, without even realizing that they're doing it. I'm pretty sure he intended to say the opposite, but what came out was what you're going to hear in just a second. Now you're going to have to bear with me for a second while I fumble, because I'm filming this with an iPhone and looking at the screen, and I need to reach Monsieur Lemus to start the recording. Now, if you can't hear it for any reason, I will put the statement in the description box. I'll type it in there, and I will read my transcript of what he said. So listen hard, and 3, 2, 1.
You do want silencing of certain voices. Usually those are voices that have something to say that are constructive, oftentimes constructive. And so we have to consider it an honor, but
you do want silencing of certain voices. Usually those are voices that have something to say that are constructive. You do want silencing of certain voices. Usually those are voices that have something to say that are constructive. Now, what I think he meant to say was, well, yeah, you do get silencing of certain voices. Usually those are voices that have something to say that are constructive. So, interesting, isn't it? So what this says to me is that Trump is somebody that likes to shut people down and silence voices. That's probably not a great surprise to anyone, but think about this when it comes to, if you're American and when it comes to the election, do you want somebody in that, their thought is, yes, I want to shut everybody down. So you do want silencing of certain voices. So I think what he means is, yeah, you do get, this is something that happens. You get silencing of certain voices. Usually those are voices that have something to say that are constructive. Should be is constructive. Sounds very West Country. They are constructive. So not good grammar either. But then people's grammar when they're speaking isn't always perfect. People are so, and I guess the fact that he's made a grammatical error also means, so one of the things that where people make errors, and maybe sometimes where the truth kind of comes out unbidden, is when what we call a lot of cognitive load is going on. So this is why the police, when they're doing interviews, like to put people under some pressure, because the more stressed you are, that kind of puts a greater load on your brain, and it makes it harder to lie. The other thing that they sometimes do is ask people to go through events backwards, in reverse order, because again that puts an increased cognitive load on things. So I'm not saying what the cognitive load is here, but a grammatical error, like voices that are constructive, and an error in meaning, which I think is actually saying the real truth, can have the same source. So Trump isn't as fluent and fluid and firing on all cylinders as he would have liked to have been, I think, when he made this statement. He's not doing badly. He's better than me, more fluent than I am right now. But yeah, I will leave that for you to make of what you will. So there's such a phenomenon. As the other way of looking at this is, something that popping up on my screen, which isn't anything to do with this, so I'll get rid of it because it's distracting. There's the psychological phenomena and a behavioural analysis phenomena called leakage, which is where there are things that you wish to conceal, but they leak into what you actually say. You leak out. So that's another way of putting it, really, a leakage. And leakage will happen more when you're under pressure. When the brain's trying to do too many things, leakage is more likely. But it can happen at any point. Any point leakage can occur. So I suggest that this may be leakage. But what do you think? Am I reading too much into it? Is it just a common error that we might all have made? Do you think Trump is somebody who thinks it's a good idea and desirable to silence constructive voices, or voices that have something constructive to say. So I'll leave that one with you. Rangimario.